In the still of the night, with danger lurking behind every shadow, a woman moved with unshakable determination. She wasn't just running from her past. She was leading others into a future where freedom was no longer a dream but a promise. This is the story of Harriet Tubman, the woman who defied the chains of slavery and became one of history's greatest liberators. Her courage wasn't born in a single moment. It was forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by an unyielding faith. To truly understand Harriet Tubman, we must journey back to her roots, to the beginning of her extraordinary life. Born into the brutal reality of slavery around 1822 in Dorchester County, Maryland, Araminta Ross, known affectionately as Minty, came into a world where hope was scarce and freedom was a distant dream. Her parents, Harriet Green and Ben Ross, were enslaved, and their children were seen as nothing more than property. Harriet's earliest memories were marked by heartache and fear. She watched helplessly as her siblings were torn away from her family, sold off to distant plantations. This cruel reality planted the seeds of resistance in her heart, even as a child. At just 5 years old, Harriet was hired out as a nursemaid. Her duties were grueling, and she endured regular beatings for even the smallest mistakes. Yet, amidst the suffering, Harriet's spirit remained unbroken. She clung to her faith, drawing strength from the stories of Moses leading his people to freedom. A pivotal moment in Harriet's life came in her early teens when she intervened to protect another enslaved person. An overseer, enraged by her defiance, threw a 2-pound weight that struck Harriet's head. The injury left her with lifelong complications, including debilitating headaches and sudden blackouts. But it also deepened her connection to her faith. Harriet began experiencing vivid visions and dreams, which she believed were divine guidance. By the time Harriet reached her mid-20s, she had endured enough. She decided to escape, knowing full well the dangers that awaited her. In 1849, under the cover of darkness, Harriet began her perilous journey to freedom. Guided by the North Star and the whispers of the Underground Railroad, she traveled over 90 miles to Pennsylvania. Crossing into Pennsylvania was a moment of profound transformation. Harriet later recalled, "When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything, but her joy was incomplete. Her family was still enslaved, and Harriet knew she couldn't rest until they were free too." Harriet Tubman didn't just escape slavery, she became its most formidable opponent. Over the next decade, she returned to the South multiple times, risking her life to guide over 70 enslaved people to freedom. Her operations were daring and meticulous. She relied on her knowledge of the terrain, her resourcefulness, and an unshakable faith. Harriet used songs and coded messages to communicate. She would sing a seemingly innocent tune to signal whether it was safe to proceed or too dangerous to move. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 made her missions even more dangerous. Slave catchers were relentless, and the bounty on her head grew. But Harriet was undeterred, carrying a revolver for protection and reminding escapees that turning back was not an option. During the Civil War, Harriet Tubman's fight for freedom expanded beyond the Underground Railroad. She served as a nurse, cook, and spy for the Union Army, using her skills and knowledge to gather intelligence behind enemy lines. In 1863, Harriet led the Combahee River Raid, becoming the first woman to lead an armed military expedition in U.S. history. The raid liberated over 700 enslaved people and dealt a significant blow to the Confederacy's infrastructure. Harriet's leadership and courage were unparalleled. After the war, Harriet settled in Auburn, New York, where she continued her lifelong mission of helping others. She established a home for the elderly, advocated for women's suffrage, and shared her story to inspire future generations. Despite her monumental contributions, Harriet faced financial hardships. She sold pies and root beer to make ends meet, yet she never wavered in her generosity. She gave what little she had to those in need. Harriet Tubman's legacy transcends time. Her name is synonymous with bravery, selflessness, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Today, she is celebrated not just as a historical figure, but as a symbol of resilience and hope. Her story is a reminder that one person can make an extraordinary difference. Harriet Tubman's life was a testament to the power of faith, courage, and the enduring human spirit. Harriet Tubman once said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. She lived those words every day, lighting the path to freedom for countless others. To honor Harriet Tubman's legacy, let us continue to educate ourselves, support the fight for equality, and carry forward her torch of freedom.